All right, ready player one, ready for challenge number 2. You know the routine, 2 minutes, and I'll be back with you shortly. Okay, I'm back. If you haven't done it already, go ahead and lock in your answers. We're going to walk through this question. So the first thing I'm going to look at when I look at this question is, what is the real question being asked? And in this case, we're being asked to recommend some things. Doesn't necessarily mean we're asked to implement some things. So we can start going through these. We can do it in any order we want to. I'm going to start from the top. So A says we can use SageMaker to develop a classification model from our CloudTrail history. And we can watch the CloudTrail logs through CloudWatch and make predictions in Lambda functions. Well, you could do that. You could create a machine learning model that tries to watch CloudTrail history. The problem is that to create a decent machine learning model, you need a lot of training data. Sometimes that takes a lot of time, and it doesn't seem like in this scenario we have a lot of time. So I don't really like this. This seems like a very slow way to go about solving the problem. So I'm not going to recommend that we do option A. So option B says that we can use AWS config rules and use some Lambda functions to try to close up some of those gaps. That sounds like a pretty decent idea. It's event driven, which is something we like. And this should be possible within the bounds of the situation that they're facing. Now, if we move on to option C, we want to ensure that no backdoors were installed during the previous breaches. And so we're going to immediately migrate all the production servers to a separate AWS account in a different region. I don't know that this is going to do anything at all. Just migrating these instances or services to a different region isn't really going to help us. So I'm going to eliminate C. I don't like that one at all. Option D is we can evaluate the VPC flow logs from the previous breaches, and we can close all the ports involved by adding them to the deny rules in our security group. Well, this one actually has 2 problems with it. Number one, if I were to just indiscriminately close all the ports that I'm using, maybe I'm going to close some of the ports that I really need, like port 80 or 443 or 22. And then secondly, if you know anything about security groups, you'll know that they don't have deny rules. So I can eliminate this option just because of those 2 facts. Is number one, I wouldn't want to indiscriminately close all the ports. And number 2, it has a fallacy in it. Security groups don't have deny rules. So for option E, I could implement a VPN connection from our corporate office and ensure that SSH data will no longer be publicly visible in flight. Well, right off the bat, I can eliminate that one because it again contains a fallacy. SSH data is not publicly visible in flight. SSH data is encrypted. So I can get rid of that one. Option F says that we can set an IAM password policy that disallows short, weak passwords, and we can force people to change their passwords. I don't know about you, but I can't for the life of me see why this wasn't done the first time they had a breach. Because this is just one of those very simple things that's easy to implement, and it can probably have avoided one of their second breaches because they seem to be involved around weak passwords and security credentials. So I like option F. So option G says we can enable Cognito's risk-based adaptive authentication and protection for all IAM users to prevent weak passwords. Well, if you know about IAM and you know about Cognito, they're 2 separate things. Cognito has user pools that keeps up with user accounts. IAM has its users that are its own thing, and they don't overlap. So Cognito's users are separate from IAM users, so this doesn't really make even any sense. So I'm going to eliminate option G. Now, option H here says a bunch of stuff. None of these things I think are going to give us any benefit. This is just an example of cramming a bunch of buzzwords together to try to create a distracting option for us. The options that I like are B and F.